Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kane, and today I'm going to be giving you my final presentation, and I've chosen a topic that I feel is very, very important, and by the end of this I hope to change your minds as well. Why would I want to change your minds? And moreover, what am I trying to change your minds about? To be upfront and honest, I'll tell you right here and now. I would like to change some of your minds about the legalization of marijuana on a national level, with each state free to exercise its rights for themselves to decide whether or not to allow the growth, production, sale, import, and or export of cannabis and its derivatives instead of being restricted by federal laws. Now, depending on where you're from, marijuana is known by a metric ton of different names. Pot, high, smoke, ganja, joint, bud, fire, heat, dank, Mary Jane, dope, chronic, herb, and that funky space kryptonite. And for as long as anybody capable of remembering can remember, it's been illegal. First laws enacted to demonize, well, not necessarily demonize, but make marijuana sale and production illegal began with the marijuana tax law in 1937. A simple green plant is nationally illegal and incredibly demonized. In fact, pause this video and go YouTube the words anti-weed commercial. Go ahead. I'll wait. Still waiting. It's fairly ridiculous how asinine some of these commercials can be, even if they do have some merits, but for reasons that go a lot deeper than cannabis roots. But really, let's look at it this way. What has it cost America? What does it cost you? What does it cost me? What does it cost every state in the Union? To look at this, let's take a look at Washington State's Initiative 502. You can easily Wikipedia this or Google this if you want, but I'm going to give you a brief layout right now. Beginning in November 2012, in the general ballot, Washington Initiative 502, a brief summary of which I will put in the description below, appeared before the Washington State public on a general ballot. Passing in that same month, it began to take effect over the year, starting in early December, and what it outlined was not just the decriminalization of marijuana, but the definition of what would be legal to carry on your person at any given time, what kind of sales would be legal, what exactly you could sell, how much of it you could sell, and who and where you would be allowed to grow. Now, while home grows, except for explicitly medical cannabis use, still remains illegal, it opened a broad range of products for the consumer market. The most notable of which is marijuana itself, which is made from drying and processing the cannabis sativa leaves and resin glands that grow on the stalk of the female plant. Now, in December of 2012, that same year, DUI and legal possession limits went into effect. So within 3 months, we managed to not only define what would be legal to carry, we also defined when you could use it, what conditions you could use it under, and how to make it safe for general use, the same way we make laws pertaining to liquor. Since then, licenses have been issued, sales have been made, plants have been grown, and laws have been fleshed out to define every aspect of marijuana legally. In July of this year, in July of 2015, they even passed an open container law addressing marijuana butts, commonly known as roaches, as well as what can be open in a car while you're driving, similar to the way, like I mentioned before, state liquor laws affect open containers, open beers, or open bottles. In fact, looking at the numbers publicly available, marijuana crimes are down by 90% for adults 21 over. Not really saying much considering you can have up to 7 ounces of any kind of combination of marijuana products at one time, but with a 63% decrease of all other marijuana violations, which includes illegal sales, illegal growth, illegal production, and illegal import, pointing towards the fact that we're not getting more illegal business, more corrupt business, more criminal business, but we are in fact making it a lot easier for people to make and sell products that they grow in state. And this is just in a year and a half since the laws went into effect in December of 2013, the final day, or the final month, that Washington State Congress had to flesh out all these problems. Usage by youths under 21, the legal age for marijuana consumption in Washington State, hasn't increased at all. Despite doomsayer demagoguery, even violent crime has gone down, with most other crime rates stabilizing, an event that hasn't happened within the last 10 years for Washington. Municipal attorney costs for the state are down, and conviction rates for more than is legally allowed no longer require overly extensive and costly prison stays. Criminal numbers are down. Criminal numbers are down. Costs are down. The demoralizing, fracturing, and psychologically damaging process of being convicted of a crime for a simple plant are down, pointing towards a healthier state. Not just because they can smoke and get high and just chill on the couch like most smokers do, but because the simple process of relaxing with this plant that's more akin to tobacco than it is crystal meth is no longer as inherently dangerous as it was before. And that's not even considering the literal financial costs and potential revenue that come from legalizing the sale of a simple plant. In fiscal year 2015, after the final legal touches were added to the Washington state pot laws, the state raked in $65 million in tax income, with the actual sales numbers alone sitting around $260 million in a market when sales across the board, Dow Industries, NASDAQ, are all seeing a decline. Think about that and think carefully. In a little more than a year, an unestablished industry has managed to produce enough tax income to create a substantial contribution to the state basic health plan, and even, almost ironically, the state substance abuse program. Between July of 2015 and August of this year, 171 licenses were legally issued for the sale of cannabis in an open market, in just the simple retail aspect, which doesn't include processing, which doesn't include manufacturing, supply, or distribution. Now, honestly, it doesn't sound like much, but again, think back to what it means to the small business, to what it means to a growing need for growth. We're seeing small businesses, single businesses, an undeveloped industry beginning to flood Washington State's GDP with untapped revenue that was, until recently, locked up in legal battles, in criminal underworlds, in ways where the state couldn't take advantage of it for the health of society as a whole. Now, what does that point to? Really, what does that point? What benefit are we as people going to get from legalizing marijuana? Well, like I said before, businesses are booming. They're growing. More and more business licenses are being issued by the state daily. Unemployment rates are going down. The Washington State unemployment rate is sitting about 1.5% lower than it did the year before, a growth that hasn't affected the country for years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point something out. Every piece of the puzzle has pointed to nothing but substantial benefits for legalizing marijuana. Legalizing a simple plant that, like I mentioned before, is more akin to tobacco than it is to crystal meth, than it is to crack, than it is to cocaine, than it is to Zoloft. And we're seeing exactly what demonizing and criminalizing marijuana, cannabis, hash, what criminalizing and demonizing THC has done to this country as a whole. It has cost the state and federal governments billions, and arguably billions of dollars in tax revenue and legal costs. How many people could have been simply slapped on the wrist with a tax fine? for possessing 1 or 2 grams of marijuana and then sent on their way. Similar to a civil infraction, similar to a speeding ticket. How many possession charges could have simply been nothing out of the ordinary and completely legal? Ladies and gentlemen, legalization of marijuana, of that funky space kryptonite, that Polynesian pink eye, GED test spread, 420, gas, grass, skunk, broccoli, and simply marijuana. It shows itself, it has the numbers, it has the background, and it shows itself that legalizing it is not only the most profitable thing to do, but also the right thing to do.